So when selecting your major, there's really two different ways to go about it. So the first way is to say, this is the major that I want to do, and then decide what careers that would lead to. Or the second way is to work backwards and say, this is the life I envision for myself, and this is the career I want to do. And then we work backwards to see then what majors would best prepare you.
I'd tell incoming freshmen to start early and cast a wide net. Think creatively. Explore several different options, but then quickly narrow it down to 2 or 3. My friend Henry Eyring refers to it as testing hypotheses for your majors. Form a hypothesis or two. Narrow it down to a couple of majors you're very interested in, and then really research those. Take a class or two, an introductory course in those majors.
It isn't possible to make perfect decisions all the time, but we can make choices then that we learn and grow from. And so for a student who's undecided, we'd like them to come visit with us, and we'll begin. And we want them to know themselves, to know their options, and then to know the mentors that they can work with to refine.
So it's important to be able to follow a path that you feel like you're passionate about, not necessarily knowing the exact job that you're going to get with those skills or with that major. In my particular case, I followed a path that seemed to make sense, but looking back, I realized the Lord was taking me down a path. And He was taking me to a place that He was aware of, but I wasn't aware of yet.
For someone who has no idea what they want to major in, I would encourage them to talk to as many classmates, upperclassmen, ward members, family members as they can. The Advising Center's got some great tools that expose students to different kinds of majors, different kinds of careers. Cast a wide net and begin to look at all sorts of options. In fact, the best career for you may be one that you've never even heard of yet.
As a new student, it is so great to start early. One of the hallmarks of this institution, one of the guiding talks and philosophies comes from Elder Eyring. And he tells us that the Lord is always telling us who we are and who He wants us to become. And so coming into the freshman year, students have a whole lifetime of experience of the Lord directing them. And what we would ask is that they would then engage with the tools and resources that we have to take everything that they know to be true about themselves to that point and use our website Getting Started guide, our different tutorials to begin to explore how to apply who they are to this new world of BYU, Idaho.
Imagine you're choosing a spouse. You wouldn't, first of all, you wouldn't casually just marry someone because it seemed like a good fit after a couple of dates. You'd court, you'd do some real research. And in some ways, while this decision is not nearly as big as choosing an eternal companion, choosing a major is a pretty important decision. And sometimes we do more research on what kind of MP3 player we're going to buy than what major we're going to choose.
Everything is so new. You're trying to decide, where should I live? What plates should I bring to my apartment? But along with all of that, I really encourage students before they get here to fast forward 4 years from now and to think about, with this major and this career, what type of salary might I enjoy? What is the world willing to pay for this degree? And there's large ranges of salaries, but it's just so important that in your freshman year, as you're working on financing your education, that you don't overextend yourself so that that education you've received and paying for it becomes a burden at the back end of your experience.
The better students research their majors, the less likely they are to change their majors, and the more likely they are to be happy with the major they choose.
I have found personally, in order to arrive at a place that feels right, it has to be done with the Lord's help, because He knows more than I do.
Certainly choosing a spouse is one of the most important decisions we'll make in life. Choosing a major isn't that important, but it really is an important decision. I believe it's one that God cares about. I'm not suggesting there's only one true major for each individual, But I am suggesting that students make much better choices in choosing majors when they seek the help of the Lord. God knows our hearts, He knows our potential, He knows our gifts, He knows our possibilities. And when we seek His direction in trying to choose a major and a calling in life, I believe He will guide us into paths sometimes that we've never anticipated before, but there will always be happier and more fruitful paths than paths that we choose alone without God's help.
To be perfectly honest, the thing that I love the most is knowing that I'm doing what the Lord would have me do. Knowing that I'm in the spot that He wanted me to be in. And 20 years ago, I didn't know what that spot was going to be. I had no idea what it would be. But the one thing that I always said in my prayers is, Lord, just take me where you want me to be. Let me do something that will build up the kingdom using the abilities that you've given me. And I'm fortunate to be able to be in a situation that I'm able to do that every day.